right now. This week's Odyssey belongs to Anneke Voerman, who's taken time out from study to go teaching in Poland. Anneke's on the line from the Baltic town of Sopot. Kia ora, Anneke. Welcome to Lights.
Hi.
Is Sopot how you say it, or am I way off the mark?
Yes, no, it's Sopot, so it's a little bit of a longer O, Sopot.
Sopot, just like you
Yeah,
say it
that's
in New
the
Zealand, really.
Exactly.
Where is Sopot?
So it's part of the Tri-City area, which includes Gdansk, Gdynia, and Sopot. So it's right up the very north of Poland on the Baltic coast. So yeah, they're all three of them are right on the coast. So it's a very beautiful place.
I remember hearing about Gdansk back in the late 70s when the Solidarity
Yeah.
movement was going. There were the big strikes there,
Yeah.
taking on the old communist Polish government. Is Sopot, though, is that a construction town or is it a fishing town or neither?
It's neither. It's more of a resort town, Sopot is. Gdansk is the construction town, and then Gdynia is the youngest of all of the cities, and they're more of a fishing town. But Sopot is very much a resort town, so there's a lot of hotels and nice cafes and restaurants there.
Do the locals embrace the sea?
They do. They really, really love the sea, and a lot of activities and things are held down by the beach. So yeah, they really like it.
Has spring arrived?
It has. Finally, it has. Today is really, really warm, and the weekend is said to get up to about 24 degrees, which should be really good.
Does this mean you're off for a swim in the Baltic very soon?
Not quite. It's still pretty cold. Very, very cold.
Apart from cafes along the waterfront, are there things people do on the water? Do they go kayaking? Do they go boating?
It's very popular to go windsurfing, and a lot of catamarans come out in the summer, apparently. So a lot of sailing and a lot of windsurfing goes on. Not so much kayaking, but yeah, a lot of sailing. Lots of people like sailing.
Is it quite a windy town?
It's not Sopot because it's protected by like a peninsula, but on the other side of the peninsula is another small town that a lot of people go to go windsurfing because all the wind comes around that area rather than coming through into the peninsula.
How did you come to be in Sopot, Anneke?
So I did this whole trip through a company called Lattitude, and they place people in different countries for volunteering. And so I chose Poland as my first choice and got into the Polish curriculum. And then I was placed in Sopot with a host family because there was a school there who wanted a volunteer to come for half a year. So I got placed there, whereas a lot of the other volunteers are in the bigger cities like Warsaw and Krakow.
Why did you want to be in a smaller town?
I prefer, coming from Nelson, I prefer smaller cities and smaller towns. And also I really like the idea of the school because it's a very small school. So I've gotten to know pretty much all the students and all the teachers. So I find it more personal, getting to know everyone rather than in a bigger city where you sort of you disappear, kind of.
How many kids at the school?
There's about 180 to 200.
And you know them all already?
I teach pretty much all of them. In a week, I teach pretty much all of them.
Can you speak Polish?
Very, very basic Polish. It's not very good. It's such a hard language to learn.
What are you teaching them, Anneke?
So often with the teachers, I get told to either come up with a complete lesson plan or I do an aspect of the lesson, and often it's to do with New Zealand, but I'm mainly there as someone for them to talk to because they don't really get much contact with native English speakers. And so I do a lot of speaking exercises with them and get them to present things on Poland or on another country so that they're speaking and I ask them questions, and so they get to listen to my voice and then they speak back to me about their experiences. So I have to just encourage them to keep talking so that they practice that aspect of it.
And you're teaching them in English.
Yes, I teach them in English, but there's always an English teacher who can speak Polish in the room just in case as well.
Have you had any moments of communication breakdown, Anneke? Is that your phone ringing there?
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right. That's probably plans for tonight or something like that. You're not supposed to be at school, are you?
No, I've got this week off because the gymnasium students have big exams which dictate which high school they get into today. So I've got the day off because they need the whole school to be out of the school grounds so that these students can concentrate.
Gymnasium.
Yeah, so that's like it's like moving from junior school to senior school in New Zealand.
Yeah.
So junior high school to senior high school. So they have big exams and then they move on to a separate high school, which is a different school altogether. And so they need really good grades to be able to get into the high school that they want to get into.
Is it a bit like if you do really well at academic subjects, you'll go to some school, and if you're more of a technical person,
Yes.
you might go to another school?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly like that. Yeah.
That sounds a little bit like the Austrian and German system. It's ringing a bell with me, that kind of approach.
Yeah, it's very similar to that, yeah.
You grew up in Nelson?
No, I've grown up all over the world. I've been lucky enough to live in a lot of different places. I've only lived in New Zealand for 5 years, but my parents are from New Zealand, and they decided to move back there after being away from New Zealand for about 25 years.
Well, where have you been, Anneke?
I was born in England, and then I moved to Germany, and then back to England, and then Switzerland, and then Singapore, and then New Zealand for 5 years.
How's your German then?
I can speak German fluently.
That doesn't get you into trouble in Poland, does it?
No, it doesn't. It's not. The German is not a problem here anymore. No, it doesn't get me into trouble. They learn it in school, in fact. So yeah.
Why did you want to go volunteering? And I assume you finished. Are you partway through university, or have you just finished high school?
No, I've just finished high school. So I finished high school last year, and it was partly due to the fact that I didn't know what I wanted to do at university. And so I decided to take a gap year just to sort of collect myself, I suppose, and think about what it is I want to do next year. And then I wanted to do something worthwhile with my time. And so I stumbled across this Lattitude program, and I really liked the idea of doing something worthwhile with my time and being able to teach other people something that I know. And so, yeah, it's very, very rewarding experience.
You know, it's interesting. You're the first New Zealander in their late teens that I've heard use that phrase, gap year. And maybe I'm a bit out of touch with teenagers, I must admit, but that's still to come maybe for me. But in Australia, everyone talked about the gap year, and then the schoolies, as they called them, would go off to the Gold Coast or the Sunshine Coast at the end of the year, and they go a little bit crazy, or at least that's how the media portrayed it. But I've never heard a New Zealander saying gap year. But is that something that's actually starting to happen now? I've heard Brits say it too, I think, gap year. Is that something that you are starting to talk about at high school? What are you going to do? Quite a lot of you now saying, I'm going to take a year off before I go to university.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people are doing it, and I think a lot of people either take a working gap year, or it's very popular to travel. So yeah, the gap year is very popular, especially if you don't know what to do at university next year.
Does that mean you won't go on the OE after you graduate? Which is
most likely not. No, just go straight into work from uni, which is fine because I've had this year off. So yeah, I'm very happy to get back into it when I get back.
Who are your host family?
I've got a really, really lovely host family whose children go to the school that I teach at. And they've been absolutely lovely to me, and they're taking me on holidays here and there. So I'm having a really good time with them.
What are their names?
There's Basha Rujiks and Michał Rujiks.
Michał.
Michał, yeah.
Michał, which I think is Polish equivalent to Michael, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, that's what, yeah.
And what do they do for a living?
So Michał runs a healthy food business, and he does a lot of presentations on correct nutrition for your body, depending on what sort of exercise you're doing. And then Basha works in a bank as a manager.
Are there many people who can speak English in Poland now?
The younger people definitely can, because they've been learning it in school for quite a few years. The older people in Poland can't, and so you sort of have to pick and choose who you decide to talk to, for example, at the supermarket, because not a lot of them do speak English, especially the older people. And so the younger people, their English is really good, and the younger you get, the better their English gets, because they've been learning it for a longer time. So yeah, really good.
Does that mean sometimes some of the parents is a bit hard to communicate with them because their English isn't so good and your Polish is still a work in progress?
Yeah, sometimes we have a few problems trying to communicate, but it's very easy to explain what you mean, and so it's often a game of a bit of charades, and then I guess the word, and then they recognise the word, and so it's okay. They're reasonably fluent in English, so we have good conversations.
When did you arrive in Sopot in Poland?
So I arrived in Poland on the 24th of January, and then we had a week's orientation in Warsaw, and I got my TEFL certificate, so teaching English as a foreign language. I got that certificate, and then I took a train from Warsaw up to Sopot a week after. So I've been here almost 3 months.
Given you've lived in Germany, had you been to Poland before?
No, I've never been to Poland, never been to this side of Europe before. So yeah, very first experience for me, yeah.
Was it Poland? Were you really keen to go there?
I was. It took a bit of convincing from my parents, because I wanted to do the traditional go to England and work in a boarding school sort of thing, but they convinced me to step outside of my comfort zone and come to Poland and experience something completely new. And I'm very glad I've done so, because, England I've seen before, whereas Poland, it's a completely new culture, new people, new language. It's been really nice to experience.
Good on your parents.
Yeah.
What was Warsaw like?
It's very I mean, I went there in winter, so it was obviously really, really cold and very grey, and I haven't been back since. But it seems like a really, really lovely city, and a lot of mix of different architecture styles, I think, because obviously the war destroyed a lot of it, and so they tried to rebuild it similar to the way it was, and then the new era rolled in, and so they built new buildings for that era. And then, so it's a very interesting city to look at, because it's so different it depends on where you are in the city.
And you've sent us some photos, which we'll put up on our website, radionz.co.nz/nights, and you've got one of what it looks like a tower, a little bit like just a little like the Empire State Building or something like that, but not as high. But wasn't that built by the old Soviet regime?
It was. It's the Palace of Culture and Science, and it was built by Stalin, and it was his gift to the Polish people. So yeah,
Thanks,
it was,
Joe.
and it's I know. It was interesting, because he gave the Polish people the option whether they wanted a metro or whether they wanted this building, and they wanted this building instead of the metro, so he built it for them.
I think, because when I went to Poland, somebody called it Stalin's wedding cake or something like that.
Yeah. That's good. That's its nickname. Yeah.
And the locals were ambivalent about it, because I kind of liked it. Oh, that's a nice building, and then it's Stalin's wedding cake.
Yeah, exactly. They're not all that fond on it. It's become a science centre, so I think it's sort of become a little bit more useful. But yeah, the Polish aren't all that keen on that building. No.
Do you think they'll knock it down one day?
I don't think so because I think there's a lot of history behind it, and it's become quite a useful building in terms of what's actually in it. So I don't think they will, but I think it's just the memory of it behind it is possibly not so good.
What do people do, and this is a terrible generalisation, but what are the most popular things to do after work if you live in Sopot?
Oh, well, people here, especially my host family, don't usually finish work till about 8 or 9 o'clock at night. So
Really?
my host mum works for about works 10 to 11 hours a day. So she works incredibly hard, as do a lot of Polish people. So after work, there's not that much time to do much.
Well, is that quite normal?
It is very normal for, especially parents, working parents. One of the parent will at least work till about 9 or 10 o'clock at night in every family.
Have you asked them why they work such long hours?
Because to earn as much money as possible, and the Polish people are very, really, really hardworking people. So if they can work more, they will work more. So as much time as possible is spent working and earning money and that sort of thing. So there's not a lot of time for much else.
Is that earning money to save, to then improve one's life, or earning money just to keep your head above water?
To save and to improve your life, yeah.
Have you got plans for how much longer are you going to be there, by the way?
I'm up in Sopot till the start of summer, which happens on the 1st of July. So I'm teaching till the 27th of June. And then I have my summer holidays, so I get to travel around Europe, and then I come back and I'm in Warsaw for the second half of the year teaching there.
Is Poland what you expected, by the way?
Um, to be honest, I'm not quite sure what I expected. I heard a lot of different things before I came about Poland and its history, but nothing about it currently. And so it is what I expected, but yeah, almost slightly better than what I expected.
It's quite easy on the eye, Poland, isn't it?
It's very, very beautiful, and I really love the history of Poland, and yeah, the places are gorgeous, and where I live is absolutely stunning by the sea. Yeah, really nice.
What, as good as Nelson?
No, Nelson always trumps Poland.
Good on you, Anneke. Have you been to the Old Forest? And then
I haven't.
Bielowieża?
Yes. That's my plan in a couple of weeks. We're going going there, and then also going to Zakopane, which is the mountain district in the very south of Poland. So we're going there, and by then it should be a little bit warmer. And we're going to go and see some nature and the mountains and everything. It'll be a really nice change from the big cities.
And have you decided what you're going to do when you come back to New Zealand?
I haven't. I've got a few ideas, something either to do with English literature or linguistics or primary school teaching, but I haven't quite decided yet.
But you're liking the school teaching at the moment?
I'm very, very much enjoying it, yes.
Anneke, thank you so much for joining us. Have a good time in Poland.
Thank you so much.
Anneke Voerman, partway through her odyssey to Poland, on the line from Sopot on the Baltic coast. Now, if you have a travel story you would like to share with the nation, drop us a line. Our email is nights@radionz.co.nz, or you could write a letter to the Post Office Box 123 Wellington.